Well, have you ever gone to the zoo? You know, where all the animals, quite often a lot of the different forms found all the way around the world and stuff are shown. I love zoos. Being able to go through there and they try to make the environments look right for them, which is great for the animals and for our viewpoint. I like at the Fort Worth Zoo that's over here, and they have a natural savanna type exhibit that, from your point of view, seems to have a few different creatures there aligned in. But if you get another viewpoint on it, you realize that they're all separated pretty much by water and by a little step or shelf and everything off into it. Because at one point there, you're looking at some lions right in front of you, and in the background, way over there, are some antelopes. Only problem is they can't even get over there to them, but you don't really notice it. What we're looking at here is the earliest known zoo in all of mankind at this point. It's at Heirokonopolis Cemetery and known as HK6. And this is where ancient Egyptian nobility and or pharaohs were actually buried at in these different sites that are real close connected. This is happens all the time. It's actually how what we know as of graveyards were actually founded in the first place, where there's somebody that's fairly famous and then other people start putting their tombs around him and so on. It's been shown and repeated over and over again through Egyptian history, and we can kind of understand it ourselves now. But it's kind of small to see all of this, but hopefully you can see the different shapes of animals that are here. And they have everything in here from elephants, looking over here at the left, elephants and antelopes and baboons and ancient aurochs, which are the non-domesticated form of a Eurasiatic type of Botaurus, an animal that's not native to Egypt in its origin, but ended up getting there along with the Caucasians that brought it in with grains and so on, literally thousands of years before this. So what they're trying to do, at least in this point they show, is that there's the ancient form that's there versus the cow or Apis bull type thing that's already indicative at this point and well known after. If you look around, there's a few aurochs that are separated in each one, and a lot of these pictures they show type of red orangish type of color and then a more brown type of color. One's a male and a female, so they also denote in this symmetry that's found here that they have males and females in pairs of it, and this actually equates to the happy hunting ground and all of the things that you want in it from ancient Egypt being buried along with this concept, so they end up showing in the afterlife. You follow me? But there are like ancient giraffes in one point here. There are a series of cats that have been found here, like a leopard and cheetahs and an ancient lion. And here's the symbol for a hippopotamus, which was apparently found as a female in her exhibit that's there. And then over here they show you other exhibits too, and they have a large amount, so a whole herd, and each one of these has been shown here. And there are small cats too that are mixed in here. What I think's neat is if you look at the configuration here, they don't put a prey animal right next to its prey. They totally separate those. I guess a good example there is that they have these cat exhibit that's right here, and where's the antelopes at? Well, way around the corner over here at this T46 number, and really not in view. Kind of like in the zoo concept where I talked about here. But there are other big cats that have been shown here, smaller cats, a jackal, ostrich, an antelope, a deer type form that's been found apparently here, because that's not an antelope or a gazelle, is it? So it's pretty amazing to know that this guy literally had a domain in the middle of all of these animals that are being kept here. And I don't know if you've thought of it yet, but having to fend for all these animals that are shown here is quite an endeavor. This ancient nobility or pharaohs that were trying this type of thing that's shown along with it here would have had to have a whole entourage of hunters that are actually dedicated towards finding certain animals. And probably groups worked more than one if they started to run out of certain things, animals, because there's a gazelle over there and there are cats over here. So you feed that to them and you keep replenishing the new gazelles. No, not necessarily. They kept them all, and then apparently they're having to go out and hunt for a gazelle quite often here to end up feeding the cats that are associated with it. But then you'd have baboons, and people are collecting all kinds of fruits and things for that. Then there are grasses that have been found, almost like bales of hay type situation, but no, in a large amount to be able to feed the elephants that's been shown over here, are the hippos that are there, and what you'd have to go through to have all the different foods for these to keep them going. And it doesn't look like the guy tried and whoops and killed a bunch of stuff like you'd think may have happened by not knowing their foods. It looked like it was actually totally successful, and then they were killed at a more common time to all each other after his passing, so they could end up going in his Elysian fields or afterlife that's shown here. So I think it's pretty neat, and the fact that it's the earliest of dynasties, and they show that, well, they already had this thing going on. And in fact, they found, by digging around here, there's this here, there's that there. Well, they dug around all these pits, and next thing you know, there are a myriad of pits that are shown here. Now, I did a video on this, I don't know, 3.5 years ago or so, but I showed a piece from a BBC clip in it, and I got to put it out. I already at that point had started holding back videos for a week, 10 days before I ever try to put it out if I can, just to see if they're going to try to flag it or do anything, and so on like that. And so it was fine. I put it out, and after just a couple of days, they were like flagged, and so boom, it's gone. So a little bit later, I tried to make another video, and what I had to do was, instead of showing this lady talking about it and what she found everywhere, I had to take just little snippets of it and then say things in between and do whatever and try to splice it up to where at least I could kind of get it in there. And that got flagged too, but I'm able to show with the picture that's shown here. That lady is the lady in white that's right over there in the middle of the photograph here. That is the Egyptologist that's hooked up through this whole endeavor. Her name escapes me at this moment. Anyhow, so this place has been shown, and again, so there's all these burials that are here, and some of which have been swathed in a red ochre paint and stuff too, which is also symbolic in ancient Egyptians and stuff. And I'm talking about, there's a giant cat that's up here. There are, all these different creatures that are shown in there, and each one's got their own little burial, and they were all like mummified-ish, and then sand mummified from there. And apparently went through ritual burying, and you can see they're buried in certain situations and facing certain ways and all kinds of things. So this was all meant to be able to take them into the afterlife and these animals. And most people, if you studied ancient Egypt, you'll realize that there are a whole lot of mummified animals all the way through it, myriads of them. But here's a baboon skull. So baboons were taken, and they're actually in like 3 places around this whole complex. One conspicuous thing is that at the 4 corners of each of these are watchdogs that are hooked up in together. And you'd think, well, that could be a problem. No, it's apparently they're the watchdogs over the cemetery that's there, which used to be a zoo. So they're watching out for those animals, and anything that comes up is in trouble and needs to go. That you're not going to sneak into my chicken coop, if you will. But baboons, larger cat forms have been found there. Ancient aurochs, as I said before, and stuff, which is a pre-domesticated or just being domesticated type of cattle. A lot of different creatures here, all shown. That each one had their own pit that's done there. I believe this is the elephant that's there. There are even some depictions of like an ancient bull, or the auroch, if you will. And you can see some of this concepts depicted in some of the earliest palettes that they show on here, and it makes you wonder, well, they had animals all around. Had they trained a lion in some way to end up looking like they trained it to attack people? Well, there are recorded things that do so, that they did attack people. the Great and so on, where they actually had trained lions that were going crazy. Of course, that probably didn't work out all that great. But also, there's some seals from around here, which this showing you its dating and everything. And this seals that were found here, by the way, by Dreyer in El Khab, which is right near the area where they are doing this at, in 1998, shows Scorpion King and his